Friends ran for 10 seasons, with 236 episodes filled with comedy, romance, drama, heartbreak, and unforgettable moments. For 10 years, viewers watched Ross, Rachel, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe grow from a group of young adults hanging out in New York into one of the most famous friend groups in television history. Some episodes became instant classics. Some scenes are still quoted today. Some moments made fans laugh loudly, while others made them emotional. But even with a show as beloved as Friends, not every season was equally strong. Some seasons had sharper writing, better storylines, and stronger character moments. Others felt like the show was running out of fresh ideas. So today, we are ranking all 10 seasons of Friends from worst to best, looking at where the show struggled, where it found its magic, and where it truly reached its peak. Season 1 is a little harder to rank because it is clearly the beginning. The show is still finding its voice, the characters are still developing, and the writing is not as sharp as it would become later. But Season 1 deserves more respect than it sometimes gets. Without Season 1, the rest of the show would not work. This is where the audience meets the group, understands their friendships, and starts caring about their lives. Season 1 introduces Rachel as she runs away from her wedding and tries to become independent for the first time. It introduces Ross as the heartbroken romantic still in love with her. It gives us Monica as the organized center of the group, Chandler as the sarcastic one, Joey as the charming actor, and Phoebe as the strange but lovable outsider. The show is not perfect yet, but the foundation is strong. The chemistry is already there. The humor is already working. And by the end of a season, viewers want to stay with these characters. Season 2 is often considered the best season of Friends, and there's a very strong reason for that. Season 2 is where the show finds the perfect balance between comedy, romance, and heart. The characters are no longer being introduced, but they also have not become exaggerated versions of themselves yet. Everyone still feels grounded, fresh, and believable. The show has confidence, but it has not started repeating itself. One of the biggest strengths of Season 2 is the Ross and Rachel storyline. Their slow romantic build becomes one of the most exciting parts of the show. Episodes like the one where Rachel watches the old prom video give fans one of the most emotional payoffs in sitcom history. That moment works because the audience has been waiting for Ross and Rachel to finally understand what they mean to each other. Season 2 also has strong group episodes, sharp jokes, and a perfect mix of humor and feeling. Almost every episode has something memorable. For many fans, this is Friends at its purest and strongest. Season 3 is another excellent season and one of the major peak years of Friends. This is the season where the show becomes more confident in both comedy and emotional drama. Ross and Rachel's relationship becomes central, and their breakup creates some of the most intense and debated moments in the entire series. Though we were on a break, argument begins here. And whether fans agree with Ross or Rachel, there is no denying that this storyline became one of the most famous parts of the show. Season 3 also has some brilliant character-based episodes, including episodes where the group dynamic carries the entire story. The comedy feels fast, natural, and built around the characters rather than forced situations. This is also the period where Chandler's sarcasm, Joey's innocence, Phoebe's weirdness, Monica's intensity, Rachel's growth, and Ross's awkwardness all feel perfectly balanced. Season 3 has emotion, comedy, conflict, and unforgettable scenes. It is one of the seasons that proves Friends was more than just a funny sitcom. It can make viewers care deeply about these characters. Season 4 is one of the best seasons of Friends. By Season 4, the show knows exactly what it is. The characters are fully established, the group chemistry is perfect, and the writers understand how to create big laughs from small situations. This season has some of the most iconic episodes in the entire series, including the apartment switch storyline, where Monica and Rachel lose their apartment to Joey and Chandler after a trivia game. That episode works so well because it is built entirely around what the characters know about each other, and it proves how strong the group dynamic had become. Season 4 also has the London storyline, which changes the direction of the show in a major way. Ross's wedding to Emily leads to one of the most famous cliffhangers in Friends history, where he says Rachel's name at the altar. But the real surprise of the season is Monica and Chandler's relationship beginning in London. That twist could have felt random, but because the actors had such strong chemistry, it became one of the best decisions the show ever made. Season 4 is funny, emotional, and packed with memorable moments. It is easily one of the strongest seasons. Season 5 is where the ranking starts getting really strong. Season 5 is one of the most entertaining seasons of Friends because the show is still confident, funny, and full of great character moments. The secret relationship between Monica and Chandler is the heart of the season, and it gives the show one of its best long-running comedy setups. Watching them hide their relationship from the group creates hilarious situations, and the eventual reveal is one of the most satisfying moments in the series. Season 5 works because it brings something new without damaging the group dynamic. Monica and Chandler becoming a couple could have gone wrong, but instead it made the show feel fresh again. Their relationship added warmth and excitement, and the rest of the group, reacting to it created some of the best comedy of the season. The writing is sharp, the timing is strong, and the characters still feel like themselves. This is a season where most episodes are easy to enjoy, and the show still feels close to its prime. Season 6 lands in the middle of the ranking. Season 6 is stronger than the later seasons because it still has a lot of energy and some very funny episodes. It begins after Ross and Rachel's drunken Vegas wedding, which gives the season a chaotic and memorable start. The show uses that situation to bring back some of the old Ross and Rachel tension. But by this point, their relationship has already gone through so many ups and downs that it does not feel as exciting as it once did. The best part of Season 6 is Monica and Chandler's relationship becoming more serious. Their romance gives the show a fresh, emotional center. Unlike Ross and Rachel, whose relationship often depends on conflict, Monica and Chandler feel stable, funny, and believable. They grow together in a way that feels satisfying. Season 6 also has strong comedic episodes and plenty of classic group moments. It may not be top-tier Friends, but it is still a strong season with a lot of rewatch value. Season 7 is next. Season 7 is a solid season, but it is not one of the very best. This is the season that builds toward Monica and Chandler's wedding, which gives the show a clear emotional direction. Their relationship had become one of the strongest parts of Friends, and watching them move toward marriage gave fans something to care about. Chandler's fear of commitment and Monica's excitement about the wedding created a good mix of comedy and emotion. Still, Season 7 also shows signs that the writers were starting to repeat familiar ideas. Some plots feel smaller, some jokes feel less sharp, and certain character habits are becoming exaggerated. Joey becomes sillier, Ross becomes more awkward, and some episodes rely more on sitcom misunderstandings than real emotional storytelling. But even with those issues, Season 7 has plenty of enjoyable moments. It is not a bad season at all. It is just not as consistently strong as the best years of the show. Season 8 comes next. Season 8 is better than Seasons 9 and 10, but it is also where the decline becomes more noticeable. This season has some important emotional storylines, especially Rachel's pregnancy and Monica and Chandler beginning to think seriously about having a family. Rachel being pregnant brings a new direction to the show, and it gives Ross and Rachel new emotional tension without simply repeating their old relationship drama. There are funny moments, touching moments, and some strong episodes. But Season 8 also has problems. Some episodes feel like filler, and the show starts depending more on big situations instead of simple character-based comedy. By this point, the group has changed a lot. Monica and Chandler are married. Rachel is preparing to become a mother. Ross is still caught between emotional maturity and old habits, and Joey's character sometimes feels stretched for comedy. The season still has memorable moments, and it is definitely watchable, but it does not have the same freshness as the early and middle years. It feels like Friends is still good, but no longer at its peak. Next is Season 9. Season 9 is also one of the weaker seasons, and in some ways, it feels even more frustrating than Season 10 because it does not have the excuse of being the final goodbye. This is the season where the show starts to feel like it is searching too hard for new conflict. The Joey and Rachel storyline becomes a major part of the season, but it never feels fully earned. Joey had always been written as the funny, charming, not-so-serious member of the group. Seeing him develop deeper feelings could have worked if the writing handled it carefully, but instead it felt like the show was trying to create drama because it had run out of stronger romantic ideas. Season 9 also has episodes that have not aged very well. Some jokes and storylines feel uncomfortable now, especially when the show deals with gender roles or certain social topics. Friends was always a product of its time, and many parts of it are still funny today, but Season 9 includes moments where the comedy feels outdated instead of timeless. There are still good scenes because the cast chemistry is strong enough to carry almost anything, but the spark is weaker. The show still feels familiar and comfortable, but not as fresh, sharp, or exciting as it was in earlier years. Starting at the bottom is Season 10. Season 10 was the final season of Friends, and while it had the huge responsibility of ending one of the biggest sitcoms of all time, it was also one of the weakest seasons overall. The biggest problem was that the show was clearly ready to wrap things up, but it still had to create drama before reaching the ending. The Joey and Rachel romance had already become one of the most divisive storylines in the series, and by Season 10, it felt even more forced. Their relationship did not feel natural to many fans because the show had spent years building Ross and Rachel as the main romantic story. Joey caring for Rachel worked better as friendship and emotional support, but turning it into romance made things awkward. Season 10 also had the feeling of a show that was running on its final energy. The characters were older, the group dynamic had changed, and many of the best storylines had already been done. Monica and Chandler trying to adopt gave the season a meaningful emotional thread, and their journey toward becoming parents was one of the better parts of the final year. But even that storyline sometimes felt rushed compared to the emotional depth it could have had. Ross and Rachel were clearly heading toward their final reunion, but the show waited until the last possible moment to get them there. The finale still gave fans emotional closure, and seeing the apartment empty at the end was powerful. But as a full season, Season 10 was not Friends at its strongest.